Started again. Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Raghu Suram. The topic for today is how do you build conversational AI products. First, let's get into like our sponsors. The sponsor for today is like Sequent, Pragmatic Institute, and ProdPad. If you've, I mean, they offer courses for product managers at different levels of their careers. Either you're an aspiring product manager or an entry-level product manager or a seasoned product manager, you can actually go into these companies, courses, and the portals, and you can subscribe to different courses out there. So with that, this is the outline of the presentation. But before that, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Raghu Suram, as I mentioned before. I currently work as a senior product manager at 24/7 AI. And I have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati. It's one of the prominent technology institutes in India and across the world. In 2014, I moved to the United States to pursue my master's in business at USC. I've been a product manager before I came to United States. But even after, like, I've been continuing my product management with 3 companies now. With that, let's get into the outline of the presentation. At first, we're going to understand like how computers have defeated champions in these different strategy games. And then we're going to go into what is conversational AI and why it's important. As a product manager, the most important metrics, which I look at a few metrics at least, like the market size and the growth of the industry and other stats before actually venturing into any industries. So for other aspiring product managers who want to get into conversational AI, probably this would actually will tell you like why. Then we'll go into the use cases. I categorize them as like 2 use cases. One is like the current use cases and the next gen use cases, which are solved by the conversational AI. The last part of the presentation is going to be what are the different factors to consider while building the conversational AI products. Okay, so with that, this infographic, I was giving detailed descriptions a little earlier, but let's try to go into this one once again. So as you can see, this gives a timeline view of like different milestones which have happened over the last 50 years. As you know, 1960s were the times like where different, like the white papers on computers and software applications were getting published. So 1968, and this is one of the big events out there. So David Levy bets $1,250 that no computer will ever defeat him in a span of 10 years, and he was actually right. By 1978, no computer has defeated him, and he wins his bet. 1988 and 1989, during the time, Deep Thought was a software program or like a computer which was developed by IBM. It defeated like Bent Larsen, who is the grandmaster at that point of time, and also defeats Levy 04. 96 and 97 is another major event in the whole history of the computers, where Deep Blue by IBM actually first lost to Gary Kasparov in 96 2-4, and in 97 it defeats him like 3-2. So that's like a big revolution at the point of time. I remember I was 8 or 9 at that point of time, and I do remember when I was in India, I do remember that specific event. It was very popular like across the world. I mean, like the internet was like very in the budding stages, but still that was a big event. And 2011, this is this is another famous event as well, where IBM Watson wins Jeopardy against the world champions. 2016, AlphaGo. This is my favorite event of like all, because there's a Netflix docu series describing like how AlphaGo is a program by Google. It wins against a world champion, Lee Sedol, like 4-1. And 2019, as you know, like the OpenAI wins against the world champions in Dota. The reason why 2019 is like more prominent and I put like major position here is because Dota is, chess, Go, and Dota, like all 3 are like very strategy games. But Dota is on the other side, as you don't know the opponent's moves until they attack you. So it's more like life, and even then, like the open AI actually wins against the world champions. That's one of the biggest breakthroughs. And that actually takes us into how did computers get like so powerful over time. The first one is that the cost of computing has gone down. It was $1,200 at the beginning, and not at the beginning in 1998. That's a dollar per like Mbps, and now the graph shows it's close to zero, but it's around like 10 to 20 cents per Mbps. That's one of the major reasons why the computers are getting like super strong. The second reason is the libraries, which were like published by like all the major players out there. And this has democratized like the AI out there. So as you can see, Keras is like one in 2014. So is TensorFlow. This is by Google. This is by Facebook. And SageMaker is by Amazon, sure. And Azure ML is, it's by Microsoft. So these are the different libraries which were published over the last 5 to 10 years, and they have democratized AI across the world. And that's another reason like why the software applications have become so powerful like over time. With that, let's understand what is AI. I mean, we all know what is AI. So it's a branch of computer science where like software applications, they predict outcomes on themselves rather than explicitly programming to do so. With that, like you can ask me now, what is a conversational AI? Conversational AI is also a branch of it's a niche of AI where it will enable the computers or like the software applications to talk to humans and also understand what humans are saying. It's the AI responsible behind is like the natural language processing. The natural language processing understands what you are saying, so what humans are saying, and it's also responsible for bot to orchestrate like the different content and present the actually valuable content back to the user. This is one of the most my favorite infographics out there. Then you can ask, I mean, we all know why should we care about like AI, but here is another reason. So AI is expected to have more impact than fire or electricity combined. It opens up a big blue ocean. So we're the product managers out there. So we want to build the products which will be like in a big blue ocean rather than a red ocean, and it touches every aspect of life. Kurzweil is one of the prominent speaker about like the computing. I think he was leading one of the big projects at Google like a few years ago. I don't know whether he's still at Google, but this kind of summarizes like everything. So the faster computer is faster innovation and faster solution to hard problems, and in a way is it's make like immortality possible and one interconnected mind across like the mankind. As we can see, that's computers with software applications have become super powerful, and they're going to continuously become like more powerful. And conversational AI will enable humans to talk to these computer programs or software applications. So that's why that's another reason why conversational AI is like very important and has been getting like so much prominence over the last 5 to 10 years. I hope like no questions there. Now let's get into like the market. Market size, as I mentioned earlier, market size and other stats are very important for a product manager who would like to just get into the conversational AI. The first important metric, as you can see, is the conversational AI market is going to reach anywhere between like 16 to 20 billion by 2024. And the industry has a cumulative annual growth rate of like 35 to 50%. If you're aware of like the metrics, the other industry metrics out there, this is one of the best performing industries today in the today's space. And what are the other metrics or the stats we can look at? As we know, 1.4 billion people. Sorry, so far like 1.4 billion people have interacted with the bots. Either it could be in different modes, like either it could be chat bots or speech or voice bots. And as we can see, this number soon is going to get bigger, and the number of people who are interacting with the bots is going to be more than the number of people who are going to have a social media presence. So like the impact of the bots or like the conversational AI products out there. And what's it for the business? It's going to decrease the cost up to like 30% today, and so it's going to decrease the cost up to 30% today. It's going to go more in the future years. 70% of the interactions today, 70% of the interactions can be handled by the bots. And most of these interactions are like the FAQs, frequently asked questions, and problems of like how do you set up something like your TV, your remote, your computer. You have problems with your phone. You connect with the bot, and the bot will help you out and how to set up anything. Those are the most common type of things which are coming out there. We'll go into the use cases in detail in a bit. And there's another survey which is done by marketwatch.com, and which says 77% of the users actually want a bot integration, because everyone knows out there that like you can get things faster when you talk to a bot. With human also you can get things faster, but there is usually a wait, and that like most of the users would like to avoid. So they would rather have a bot integration. I know there are like other surveys which suggest a little bit the other way, but the problem is real. So the users actually wants to talk to the bot. And let's quickly look at the time. We do have time. Now let's go into the use cases. What are the use cases which are being solved by the conversational AI products out there? The current, like the most prominent use cases, as I mentioned earlier, is like the customer service industry adopts them. The use cases are like you can call the bot about a problem which the company has offered you. So, and you have troubles in that. Either, as I mentioned, like you have a trouble like with your phone, or you have trouble setting up like your TV, trouble setting up your remote, or probably like your iRobot mission is not working at home. So that's probably like other common use cases. And over the last 2-3 years, like even e-commerce applications is like, how do I sell a product online? That's getting a lot of prominence, and trust me, like over the next 5 years, if all the e-commerce applications will use a bot to sell their products, that could happen. And conversational marketing at a high level, when you see an advertisement currently, like let's look at social media, any social media, Facebook, Pinterest, or anything, you look at the product, and probably you with a click on the product, you would actually go to the website where you want to buy the product. But and consider you have like a lot of questions about the product. What does it look? What does it look and feel like? The shipping costs. It could be you would like to know whether the product probably like fits properly at your home, or does it actually look and feel good. So like all those things, you have to go to the website of the one who's actually doing the marketing to get those things answered. So imagine a world where you can actually ask those questions to the ad, you can interact with the ad, and then all those questions gets answered. So that's conversational marketing. It's getting prominence as well. But in the next few years, probably you'd see a lot of companies using conversational AI marketing out there. Now that actually takes us into next gen. What exactly it's going to look like? What are the prominent use cases in the next gen? The next gen, as I said, again, like it's the next. It's not too far away. Probably like in the next 5 to 10 years. I classify them as like into two broad categories, where information providing in the conversation style. It happens today, but I'm saying like it's more information providing in the conversation style, and the next generation assistants. Let's go into the use cases of like information providing in the conversation style is educational toys. We do have educational toys where your kids probably like use them to get like some information answered. But imagine a toy where it's with your kids, where it teaches the kids a lot of stuff. It makes things easy for them, probably like solving, probably like doing their homework. And actually that also goes into the next gen assistance. But also make sure like teach them a lot of things. You have trouble like watching TV. I mean, not kids, but like you have trouble doing something. Then you have a toy which teaches you many things. So that's the direction which is industry is heading. I know there are like some ethical questions which needs to be thought through. But I mean, this is not the presentation and not the area which we can go into the detail. That will actually require a completely different topic. But just my more intention was to say that okay, that's the direction the industry is going towards. Then the household chores. This is one of the examples which I usually see. So we have a robot, it cleans the house well, but as you know, you feel the problem. Okay, I mean, I see like this is the area in the living room. There is some part which is like a little bit dirty, and you want like your iRobot to clean that. But like iRobot goes in, like it cleans like all parts of the house. You can probably instruct the iRobot saying that okay, this is the area you just need to clean. That's the area probably you need to clean. And also sometimes the machine gets stuck somewhere else. Rather than you picking up with the hands and putting somewhere else, you just say that instruct, hey, just get out of it, get this way, take a right, move straight, and take a right and take a left. You can actually talk to the machines out there. So, and connected cars, we don't have to go into the details of that. Connected cars is car, you connect with the car, and you talk to the car. It happens at at a level today with Tesla cars, and also I mean every car is kind of employing these things in their application or in their cars, but it will actually can go to the next level. And next gen assistance is this is one of the important use case, interview prep. I mean, usually like a job seeker, but one of the prominent things in their whole preparation is like the interview preparation. And today, like I would say, like not many software applications which are out there which do a good job. So imagine, and because of the obvious reasons, right? So you want a person, or like you want a to talk to, or like prep, so that you can actually become better at giving interviews. Consider now there is an assistant who can actually do that. So that's the use case which we are actually going at, and that's one of the use case. And writing emails, doing homework, probably like improving on the presentation skills and everything. So that's how the next generation assistance is going to look like. I hope that gives a clear picture of where we are right now and where we are going towards. And now consider like you have all the things you have defined. Okay, these are all the different use cases which are out there. And now as a product manager, I define my use case. Okay, this is a use case I want to go after. Now, what are the different factors I need to consider in order to make sure I build a good product out there? And that's something which actually I've been doing at 24/7 for close to 2 years now. And I would like to go through the process of how I have done it, so that aspiring product managers can learn and use the same skill set for your products as well. So with that, I mean, anyway, like I would like to go into the terminology before I dive deep into a few things. The terminology which we use in the conversational AI, it's, as you know, it's a new place. Like a lot of different companies use it in a lot of different way. But this is a common. These are like the most common way of using things. First, what's an intent? Intent is we call it, but before intent, we'll just go through the visitor. Visitor is the one like who's interacting with the bot, and the visitor interacts with the bot because they have a specific intent. Intent to resolve. Intent is, as I said, like probably they want to know like the store timings, or they want to set up something. So consider like they say, I would like to set up a remote. Setting up a remote is the intent, and the one who is interacting with the bot is a visitor. And the way they ask that question is like the utterance. So I want to set up my remote is the utterance, and then as like utterance is by the visitor, and the bot also responds to it. We call that as a bot response. And the user is the one like who's actually building the bot. And conversation is, I mean, as the name suggests, like conversation is like the bot, and the visitor is having. We are also call that as an interactions as well. But on the other side, like the user builds conversation, or users designs conversations and then builds bot, so that we can solve the visitor's intent. And now let's look into the mode. Mode is It's used a little bit different interchangeably, like modes and channels. Consider you're interacting with the bots by chatting. So chatting is like, or a digital is one mode, or you call a bot, you call up a TFN, which is a toll free number, and you're interacting with the bot. So voice is another mode. There's a new prominent mode which is coming out there, is because like the video mode. Today, a lot of the video modes were like handled by the human agents, but that's a mode probably which could become like very prominent with the bots as well. And the other important modes which I can imagine is like there could be an AR mode, there could be a VR mode. So those are like probably, I know there's a lot of research which is being done in those modes, so that can grow as well. And channels. Channel is a subcategory of a specific mode. Each mode have channels. So for example, let's look at the speech mode. Speech mode. In that speech mode, you have channels such as like Alexa, Google Assistant, and Siri. Those are the three different modes. And similarly, not three different modes, there are like three popular modes, three popular channels within that mode. And similarly, in the chat mode, you have like very prominent ones. For example, Slack is one of the modes, Teams is another mode. So Teams is another channel, Slack is another channel. And similarly, like you have a Google Business Messenger, Facebook Messenger, very prominent. WhatsApp is another channel, is very prominent as well. So as Apple Business Chat. So those are the prominent ones. Those are the terminologies. So probably you understand like more about the modes and more about the channels and the terminologies in the industry. And now let's go into the story. So this is one of the use cases which I have been trying to solve, and we're very close to solving like most of these things in the use case which we're going to look at. So what is a visitor's goal? Goal is to pay the bill, and which is AKA, which that's a visitor's intent. And what does the visitor do? Visitor calls a TFN to pay the bill. TFN, as I mentioned earlier, it's a toll-free number. And consider like a client, a company who I mean, paying a bill is like very standard process. So they have a bot which handles like the paying a bill, and the bot comes talks to the visitor, and the visitor says greets a visitor, authenticates a visitor, and then asks for certain account details, and the visitor provides the account details, and probably like with the account details they'll authenticate them, or probably a different other way. And then the bot also pulls in like the information from a database through an API. And then the bot requests, that's where like, okay, probably the card information got expired. That's why like you were unable to pay the bill, or like there is no autopay setup. So bot asks a question to provide like the card information. Depending on like what exactly the account details, and then visitor does not have the card info. Consider now that this is where it gets a little bit complicated. Visitor does not have the card info handy. I mean, we all know that's a common thing which happens. And he or she gets, and let's make it a little bit more complicated, right? So at the same time, I've been talking to the bot for like 5 to 10 minutes. It's a long conversation. I had chatted, provided like everything, authenticated, account details and everything. Now I don't want to disconnect the call because I don't want to do the same thing again. So instead, what I want to do is I consider, as I said, like I got another important call to attend. That's why probably I don't want to disconnect this thing. What I want to do is like I want to transfer this context. And also I want to probably like attend the other call and finish up like my task of or like my intent of like paying the bill. So I want to transfer to a chat where I can actually take the phone, attend the call, and also chat with the bot to finish it. And when the bot does not understand, I want seamlessly transfer to an agent, so that like the agent we use that as like a human agent, and agent can solve solve my intent. So that's it's a pretty complicated use case in itself. And now I would like to go into the needs. So as a product manager, right? So that's a user behavior which we studied. Now we want to build, and then what are the needs here? And these are the needs will actually translate into building the product. So let's look at the needs. Needs is the bot. The most important need is like bot has to understand the intent. That's one important need. And the second need is I mean, it's not a need, but it's like more of a data point which we need to look at. Is like conversations could go up to like 50 to 100 turns, and as we can see, the conversations are like multimodal and multi-channel. Could go multi-channel as well. You are in one channel, you want to go to a different channel. That could happen, and when that happens, you want the context to carry over from one channel or one mode to a different mode, one channel to a different mode. As you can see, this is and we call like in ads world, we call like omni-channel experience. I look at an ad in one device and go to a different device, and it has to be more contextual. It doesn't have to be, and it's like marketing. Uh, it's more like marketing way of doing things. You want the context to carry over. And the most important things are like when you're building, when the conversation goes for 50 to 100 turns, you want things to be like more personalized, and so that like the bot can, so that the like the human can talk to a bot to resolve the intent. And as I said earlier, like when the bot does not understand the intent, we need to have the escalation handling within the bot as well. And as I mentioned earlier in my presentation, only 70% of the interactions or the conversations are currently handled by the bots, and 30% are not. So escalating to a human agent is a very important use case. And so now I would like to show you like the Conversation Builder. Conversation Builder is a self-serve product which enables the users for my product. I mean, there are different types of users for different products. The users for Conversation Builder, which is built by my team at 24/7 AI, is caters to Conversation Designer because that's more one of the most important problems to solve. You do that, and then that's the product which you're going to look at right now.
So just a quick question that came up in the chat. Any insights on what's the average amount of time a human customer is willing to talk to a bot before requesting a human agent?
Yeah, that's a good point. It depends on different types of interactions. Usually, as far as what we have seen, it goes up to like 50 turns to do that. But there are ways to optimize those things as well. Consider a use case where you have like 50 turns, and then like you like to talk to a human agent. When the human agents are busy, that's when the customers or like the visitors, they want to continue the conversation. So you look at two things. So it kind of came to us around like 50 turns, but if the human agents are busy, the visitors wants to continue the conversation with the bot. Hope that does answer the question.
All right, thank you.
Sounds good. Okay, so now let's go into the Conversation Builder. As I mentioned earlier, we looked at the needs of the use case. And again, as I said, like it depends on the use case, but those use cases and the needs is something which you need to thought through, and which we did. This is a Conversation Builder. This is how it looks like. And the first one, as I said, the turns, like 50 to 100 turns, and how do I actually visualize? So for the user, it's very important for them to visualize like the whole number of turns, how the bot is going to talk to them. So we have built an intuitive interface so that the user can build the whole conversation. So that's number one. And as I mentioned, like when the visitor provides the account information, the bot has to connect to the databases to retrieve that information to authenticate them. So APIs is one of the important pieces, and similarly, context carryover from channel to channel, model to model is very important. And we solve that problem with a concept called entities. Entities are nothing but like the information. So once the visitor changes from channel to channel, we make sure like we pass in like all the context from channel to channel, so that we clearly know like what information has been provided so far, which kind of translates into till what part the conversation has been complete, and now what questions to ask to the user. That's another important thing. And as I said, like the escalating to a human agent is very important. And the conversation builder has a way to escalate to human agent as well. It's a simple integration where we knows when the customer or like so when the visitor asks saying that, hey, I would like to talk to an agent, or when the bot is unable to understand, or when the visitor is frustrated. When the visitor is frustrated, or there could be and there could be like unexpected consequences as well. There could be something down. Even then, like we don't want to lose the interaction or like the conversation. So we escalate to a human agent so that the visitor's problems or like visitor intent get resolved. Okay, with that, um, any questions?